All right, good morning. I'm here with I'll let you introduce yourself for the
Okay.
interview. All right.
All right. Hi, this is Coach Gonzalez. I'm from Ranger, Texas. I'm originally from Jacksonville, Texas. Been coaching for over 15 years now as a head coach. I've been at least half of that, 7 to 8 years as a head coach. Been coaching junior colleges ever since I started, and never been to any other colleges but junior colleges. Um, and thank you, Kelly, for giving me this opportunity
Yes, sir.
to talk to you and for you to interview me.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you for that. The first question is you kind of answered the how long have you been coaching and how long have you been in this position, but how long have you been a coach at Ranger College?
At Ranger College, I've been here. I'm going on my fourth year.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, I was when I first started, I started at Long Marsh College as an assistant coach. I was an assistant coach for about 3 to 4 years, and then the head coach resigned, and I ended up taking over the men and women's program at Long Marsh College for a couple of years. The school unfortunately closed down.
Yeah.
I then went across town where I used to live out in Jacksonville and started the men and women's soccer program at Jacksonville College, and I was there about 5 years.
Yeah.
And then I resigned and came to Ranger College where I took over the men's program only. And then a year later, I ended up getting the women's program also because of my success with the men's program. They wanted me to do the same thing with the women's program too. So I've been here, like I said. So to think about it, that's about 9 years or a little bit over 9 years as a head coach
Yeah.
at colleges.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you for that. What would you say is the hardest part of being transitioning from an assistant to an head coach?
Um, You know what? As an assistant, you learn a lot from your head coaches. You soak that in. You trying to get as much information that you can, as much ideas, and not just the way they coach, but the way they speak to students. Because you're as a coach, you're trying to encourage your players to play at their highest level, and the way you speak to them is going to make the difference the way they play for you. So the hardest thing is learning how to speak to my players. I've seen different coaches. Every coach has a different perspective of the way how they speak to their players. There's coaches that are very rough cut,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
road, and if you don't do it, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think for some coaches it does work for them, and for me, I don't think that works much for me. I try to give the athlete as much of an opportunity to do well and be successful.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you have to be disciplined, and the hardest thing is having to discipline a student that didn't do what they're supposed to do,
Yeah.
especially when you know that they have a talent.
Yeah. And thanks for that. Um, what would you say would you value more in your coaching career thus far? The education or your experience?
I think they both do. They both come in to hand in hand to be where I'm at. Experience definitely, I think, would lean more towards your success because of the experience you have. Education does help. Education, will get you inside the door to get you where you want to do. You have to have a degree
Yeah.
to be able to coach, at any school, any high school or colleges, you have to have a degree. With the experience, I think a little bit of my history.
Yes, sir.
I had the experience and not the degree. I recently got my degree a couple
Mm-hmm.
years ago, but I wasn't going to school. I got my associate's degree, stayed as an assistant, continued coaching. And but eventually, in order for me to be more successful, I had to get my
Yeah.
degree.
Yeah.
But the opportunities that I've had was because of my
Mm-hmm.
experience of what I've done with my teams and how I've been very successful in the way as a coach. So I think it helps. It goes hand in hand. I don't think there's one more than the other.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that having experience, it's a little bit more pushes more towards the opens the door up for more for you
Mm-hmm.
as a coach. And again, I've known players, I knew coaches that never played at a high level, but
Yeah.
are very good, successful coaches because they were on the bench and they listened to their coach and they
Mm-hmm.
soaked that in. They watched players play, and so I've known coaches that played 15, 20 minutes there, but were one of the best coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know players that played at a high level
Yeah.
and are coaches and do really well because they played at that high level.
Yeah.
And so,
So you say they both go hand in hand together.
yes, yes, I think they both go hand in hand. You need the education to get what you want to do,
Yeah.
and you need the experience too to be able to, especially if you want to be a successful coach.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. So if you were to give advice to your younger self, what advice would you give your younger self in terms of how how you got to where you are today?
Definitely, I was thinking about that. I definitely think that if I was to tell myself at a younger age, it was to take school more serious
Mm-hmm.
during my high school years. I was very good in high school. I had coaches looking at me to play at colleges. I had um, my offers to go play, but because of my grades,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't able to get that opportunity that I had. And so if I would have done my schoolwork, I wouldn't say I was uh, a non smart kid. I mean, I was an average kid, C's and B's and a few D's,
Mm-hmm.
and in order for you to play at a higher level, which I could have, I didn't have the GPA to go in that school or the grade point average to go into that school, and so I think if I was to done that, there's probably been something different. My lifestyle probably, I don't know. I mean, I say that,
Yeah.
I can go back and say, well, maybe if I would have done better in school, in high school, I would have been in college at a sooner age. And there's no telling what could have happened from then,
Mm-hmm.
But I never regret, of
Mm-hmm.
what I've done. Going back to school at a later age, um, getting my education and doing what I love to do best.
Yeah. So in all of the years of coaching, what have been the best part? It's a two-part question. What have been the best part of coaching, and what are your most memorable moments?
I think the best part of coaching is, every year watching my players that I bring in graduate and going
Mm-hmm.
on to continue in their education and to continue playing soccer and hopefully seeing them on TV playing professionally.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best gratitude that I can get. Winning games, winning championship games. That's all good, but the most important thing is watching those players continue their education because I know that's very important. And I think that's one of the best joys that I get. It's one of those situations where you kind of tear up a little bit because
Yeah.
you had them for 2 years and you
Mm-hmm.
and you managed them and pushed them. And I know sometimes your players were mad at you, but in the long run, it was worth it. And they graduated,
Mm-hmm.
and now I have to start all over with new players. But that's probably the best joy to have is to see my players graduate at the end of the school year.
Right. Yeah. And this is like a bonus question. In terms of advice, you said for you would have take school more serious, but what advice would you give like younger kids or young guys growing up want to become a coach or wanting to take the path that you took?
I definitely would think that the advice has to younger kids is to focus in school. Because school is what's going to get you to help pay for your or try and lay the pathway
Yeah.
to you to get into what you love to do. Any player or any athlete, soccer, baseball, football, any sport that's out there. Um, Education is what's going to lay the pathway for you to go to that school. if your education is not where it needs to be at, then it's hard to go to that Ivy school or to that school that you could have gone because of your athletic ability. You know, I've known a lot of players that have a great athletic contribution that all these schools want them, but because of their education, it's not there. Then they don't get to go to that Ivy school and that opens up more opportunities. And nothing against smaller schools, but you're going to be, especially if you're an athlete that very blessed, being at a bigger school, you're going to have more opportunities to go on to the next level.
Yeah.
And so focusing in school, trying your best, always ask for help, and because a lot of times students are afraid to ask for help because then they're afraid that people don't think they're smart or something like that, and so they're afraid to ask for help. And so encourage the students to ask for help when they need help. If they don't know the subject, ask for help. There's always help. And I think if kids were to be taught that a lot sooner, then when it comes to high school, they're able to ask for help. Their grades will show the difference, and then they'll be able to go on to the next level because there's schools that want them not only because they're great athletes, but also because they're great. Their grade level is it's well, and it speaks a lot of a student.
Yeah. All right, Coach Gonzalez. Thanks for accommodating me in a busy schedule, and I hope we get to speak soon again doing it. Thank you.
Yes, no problem. Thank you, and good luck to you.
Good luck to you, sir.